We are now at public comments. The maximum allotted time for each speaker is 3 minutes. Clarification of information presented and answers to questions specific to district business and educational matters will be posted on the school board's website under a section called For the Record. Please be reminded that profane, abusive, or slanderous speech is not permitted. I request that you speak into the microphone and state your name. And I don't believe that I have all of our speakers on our list. You've all signed up, and then it gets transposed into a list that I could easily follow. And I believe I was told we have close to 90 speakers. 91. I hope you're all in for a long night. I want to preface, I realize that you're all here primarily for our non-discrimination clause. I thank you all so much for taking the time out of your day. These are your students being educated in your schools, and it's very important to have our community be part of the process. I would like to give you some information, though, because from what I've read in the hundreds of emails and what I'm reading as the items of discussion that you'd like to speak to us about, I think some clarification is needed. First of all, tonight we have 3 action items that I believe you're all here to address. Those action items are not to approve a policy. Those action items are strictly to authorize the superintendent to advertise for a public hearing, at which time at a public hearing, then everybody gets to speak about the topic and about the specifics. You're welcome to do that tonight as part of public speaking, but be aware there's not a vote on the policy tonight. I don't think that was clear. Another thing is that this is, I believe you're all here concerned because of the changes of adding a few words to the non-discrimination policy. Be advised, and I believe most everybody understands our current policy does cover those descriptions, just not specifically. One thing I do appreciate from our entire community is everybody seems to agree that in no way, shape, or form do we want to discriminate or bully against students for any reason. So I do appreciate that. And to clarify also, because I have some people that listed here that they want to speak on the bathroom policy or the locker room policy, that in no way, shape, or form is any part of the policy that we are going to be discussing in the future at the hearing. So I have a feeling some people are not perfectly clear on the policy, which is available on our website under our agenda section for the board if you care to read that. There's some clarification to the policy, and there's some additional specific words in the that we're going to discuss putting in the policy, but I think there's some misperceptions of what the policy actually is. So that may or may not change your desire to speak. That's up to you. We have some options here. I'm going to typically we always take the first 10 speakers, we conduct our business, and then we'll go back to the remainder of the speakers. We do have the prerogative to limit speaking on a particular subject, but I'd like to defer to the board to see what they would like to do. We always like to give our speakers as much time to speak. We'd like to, but sometimes that's a bit of a challenge. 90 times 3 minutes is how many hours? We'll be here till probably midnight. Thank you. That's quite a while. What are the wishes of the board? Would you like to set a specific number of hours for speakers, assuming some may only speak for a half a minute, or 2 minutes? Or would you just like to go the whole number of speakers? I'd like input from the board if you have an opinion. Huh? You'll stay. You'll go for the full amount? Yes, ma'am.
I think given the fact that people have taken time out of their day to come, we probably need to take that opportunity to listen to what they have to say. Although I would like to request that if you are number 85 on the list and what you plan to say has already been said by someone earlier on the list, that you defer to just that you are in agreement with what was said previously so that we can minimize the number of times that we're hearing the same thing and minimize the amount of time that we are here tonight. Understanding that we do have some people who may have to be in school tomorrow. We also have staff members that have been working since early this morning who are here in support of the meeting. So in just attempting to be respectful of everyone, I would ask that you please not get up and restate what's already been said so that we can hear everyone's concerns, but within reason.
Okay.
She says things so well, so I'll just say ditto to what Misty said.
You good with that? Okay, then that's Mr. Duke.
Me too. That's fine. No. Actually, as usual, Ms. Belford has some eloquent language to, I think, convey all of our thoughts. So yes.
All right. Very good. Thank you very much. Then that's what we'll do, and I will try to read names in advance so you could be all prepped to be up as prompt as possible. We will start with Daniel Wall D'Souza, John Crow, and Gary Schifrin.
Good evening, school board members, Dr. Blackburn, and staff. I'm sure that since adding this item to the agenda, you've received many emails. Some of those emails were probably constructive, and some you probably wish that you could unread. It was not our intent to expose you to the bigotry that still exists in our society by seeking an update to the non-discrimination notice. When the day is done, you have the opportunity to close your email and turn off your computer. For many of us in the LGBT community, we hear those comments more frequently than we would like, but there's one caveat. It is impossible for us to turn off the person inside. Some things can simply not be unheard. Public schools play a central role in American life. They mold children into good citizens by teaching the core values of a pluralistic democracy, freedom, and tolerance. Our public schools must therefore be hospitable to students of all faith and those of no faith. Public schools should teach an understanding of respect and diversity, as well as a spirit of acceptance and inclusion. They should also develop citizens who respect our nation's legacy of religious freedom and the separation of church and state. Some will argue that the update to the non-discrimination notice gives the LGBT community some advantage or special right or privilege. The proposed changes to the non-discrimination policies do not give the LGBT community any special rights. On its face, the term special rights doesn't even make sense. If something is a right, by definition, it's not special. It belongs to everybody. Some will argue that sexual orientation and gender identity is a choice because it's not an immutable characteristic like the color of one's skin. Without having walked a day in the shoes of an individual of an LGBT community, I am mildly offended that some would choose that stone to cast at us. In review of the proposed changes, any argument you may hear regarding the policy's change violates one's constitutional right to religious freedom. I wholeheartedly disagree. I would encourage anyone who feels protecting the LGBT community somehow diminishes his or her religious freedoms to reread the proposed changes. Under the section titled Religious Discrimination, discrimination is not limited to people who belong to traditional organized religions, but the non-discrimination would also protect others who have sincerely held religious, ethical, or moral beliefs. This statement makes moot any opposition that one may have in defense of his or her religious freedoms. You've seen both sides of this coin. You've heard from those in support and in opposition. After hearing the opposition, I trust that you will see why discrimination in our schools must be addressed by board policy. Listen carefully to the opposition's message. All right, it's important. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Next, John Crow, followed by Gary Schifrin.
Ladies and gentlemen of the board, I appreciate your time. I'm against discrimination as much as you guys are. And I hate the fact that people are discriminated. But as a Christian, I want you to think about one thing. How are you treating us? As we go on campus and want to read the Bible or preach the Word of God, aren't we discriminated too? And if this law is passed, why are we discriminating and certain people not? When the law is applied,
let's keep it down, please.
It needs to be applied equal to all. Everyone needs can a student preach the gospel? Can a teacher preach the gospel? If not, why not? Why you have filters on your computer systems? If a student wants to learn about Jesus Christ, is he able to do it? Freedom is expansive. Think about what you're doing. There's a right and wrong. There's a right and wrong. There's truth and not truth. As a person growing up, I was taught the number one goal of education is to find the truth. In my opinion, the gospel message is the truth. Now, you can disagree or not agree with that as you wish. But what is truth? Jesus Christ was asked that question before he died. He gave the answer of all answers. The truth is the truth. There's only one truth. 2 and 2 is always 4. You can't middle around. That's the answer. As a kid, you know that. So my hope and prayer for each and one of you guys is to think about that. Where does discrimination stop? Because if you're discriminating, you open this policy, I will want to go on campus and share the gospel with everyone. Because that is my goal, to share the truth and love. So I hope before you say yes or no, you think about that. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. I need to let you know that if we don't give complete respect to our speakers, we're never going to make it through the night. And if there's too much hooting and hollering, then that will be controlled too. So let's give everybody the respect of what they have to say. Mr. Schifrin, please. Followed by Scott Wall D'Souza.
Dr. Blackburn, Chairman Ziegler, school board members. Gary Schifrin, Executive Director of the Brevard Association of School Administrators. I come before you tonight representing the principals and the other members of BASA. Let me start by being emphatic that all of your principals, and I say your principals, are sensitive to bullying and harassment of any student at any school. It is not to be tolerated, and there are occasions that special provisions need to be made in order to protect the rights of their students. It has been shared with me that there are a number of transgender students in our schools who are provided options when it comes to their accommodations. This is what principals do because they do understand the importance of protecting all their students from anything that would put them in a position of being bullied or harassed. Now, having said that, I want to express the concerns which have also been shared with me by a number of principals. Once our school board policy is changed with the addition of the few words, the whole legal authority changes with it. Now the concern becomes what can and cannot a school do when it becomes the desires of a student who professes to be a transgender and the rights of other students who attend the school. As I've listened to the public comments related to this subject, we do understand the desire to change the policy, but we also are heeding the words that others have stated. At the last board meeting, a few of the speakers even spoke about lawsuits that came about because the harassment policy mentioned sexual orientation. BASA believes that their principals should be trusted to protect the rights of all the students. It becomes a matter of trust. What BASA would like to ask is for the board to give this serious consideration in regards to the ramifications this policy change could have on our schools. We do not want to put our principals in a situation in which they have to make a decision that could result in students, both transgender and not, having their best interests violated that might even result in a nasty and costly lawsuit. As much as we trust you will make the right decision in this regard, we hope you would do the same for us in trusting the judgment of those you have put in leadership roles. Thank you for your time and allowing me this opportunity.
Thank you. Scott Wall D'Souza, followed by Naomi Longan and Donna Parsons. Go ahead.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you again for hearing me once again. One thing I'd like to stress one more time is that we are looking for a specific statement to address that all students to participate in appropriate programs and activities. This does not include accommodations. This does not include bathrooms, locker rooms, or anything else that would violate somebody else's rights. But what it does include is the fact that this principal that just came up and said that he does everything he can to accommodate and do the right thing for every student, that principal's a good principal. But when I was a student here, and I was in elementary school, I was transferred through every one of your beachside schools because I didn't fit in. And when I was transferred into Holland, which was a great school as well, I didn't fit in there either. So I went ahead and they sent me to military school thinking that's going to fix it. There we go. We can get him right there. Well, that didn't fix it. So obviously it wasn't really something that needed to be fixed. The fact of the matter is the progression is that I was discriminated against. My parents did not have the knowledge nor the ability at that time because they did not have the reason to come towards the board and have a grievance and have a statement and say, this is not right. My child should not be moved from school to school because he doesn't fit in. All right? I think that everything that you guys have been working towards as making this a excellence as a standard for students is impressive. I really didn't expect it in my lifetime. But I also haven't expected a lot of things in my lifetime that I've been able to accomplish and I've been able to do. You know, when I was a kid and I was in Holland, it was the first time I attempted suicide. And it was because I did not fit in. And no one was there to stand up for me. And no one had the way to stand up for me. So I just hope when everybody here sits and thinks for just a moment, take the hate out of it, look a little bit more in the love inside of this heart, and say there is a reason why we need to protect our students. More importantly than anything, their lives matter. My life mattered, and everyone that comes after me matters. And my students, my children, they will matter. And thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Naomi Lonergan. Thank
All right.
you. Sorry about that.
Good evening, Dr. Blackburn, school board members and staff. This is new to me. I'm just a second-year teacher here at Brevard District Schools, so I just want to make sure that I have permission and it's okay for me to speak. Okay. All right. With that said, all right. First, I just want to say that I thoroughly enjoyed the musical exhibition of the students from Challenger 7. Those children we saw, they're the reason that we are here tonight. Don't need to say that, but those children are why all of you, and I'm here. As a school teacher in Brevard County, I see our children in our schools. They're struggling. They're trying to deal with autism, Asperger's syndrome, ADD, ADHD, homelessness, foster care, and a myriad of other problems. I just see this as increasing their burden. What I read was that there's going to be a health curriculum that has the transgender and other confusing things that will disillusion them about who they are. And as a school district and a school board, we want to educate our children. We should be focusing them on mastering the standards of math, English language arts, science, geography, social study, music and the arts. That needs to be our focus. I'm really grateful for the principal who was here. Our principal administration team, we don't tolerate any kind of bullying. All these problems that the kids have, ADD, all those syndromes, everything, there's accommodations for those. And as he said, there are accommodations for the transgender children. From what I understand, the equal opportunity or the equal employment revision, with the transgender teachers coming in and not knowing who they are, I've taught biology and science. We're XX, we're XY, swab the DNA in the mouth. There's no confusion. It's XX or XY, depending on what they think they are. And then there was another question that came to my mind. As our fellow educators, what are going to be the ramifications of passing these revisions, of passing this? How are we going to be protected from this decision? So we the people, we say no to the revisions of 3362, anti-harassment, 3122, equal employment, and 2260.01, non-discrimination. Thank you.
Thank you. Donna Parsons, followed by Edward Lonergan. I pronounced it wrong again.
I think you got the wrong order. Donna Parsons, you asked me to come after Naomi.
Donna Parsons, yes.
Yeah.
That's what you said, Donna Parsons.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, followed by Edward.
Yeah, okay.
He's
I thought
following
you were
after you.
expecting Edward to be here right now.
No, you're next.
Okay, I'm going to be very brief. I've been a resident of Brevard County since 1963, so I've been through the school system and everything. As a grandparent, I am concerned for the younger generations who will be affected by tonight's decision. I strongly reject the topics that you're proposing to inflict on our innocent children under the misguided heading of health education. I ask you to vote no to the revisions 3362, 3122, and 2260.01. Thank you.
Thank you. Edward, followed by Arlene Cook and Dennis Burgeon.
Thank you guys for all that. Thank you for all that you're doing. I know that what you guys are doing is very, very important. And okay, I wanted to read out of Matthew. It's talking about the rank in the kingdom of God. And at that time, the disciples came to Jesus and said, "Who then is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven?" The issue that I see is we're all created equal under God. We all have that opportunity. And he called a child to himself and set him before them and said, "Truly I say to you, unless you are converted and become like children, you will not enter the kingdom of heaven. Whoever then humbles himself as his child, he is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. And whoever receives one such as this child in my name receives me. But whoever causes one of these little ones who believe in me to stumble, it would be better for him to have a heavy millstone tied around his neck and to be drowned into the depth of the sea. Woe to the world because of its stumbling blocks, for it's inevitable that stumbling blocks come. Woe to that man through whom the stumbling blocks come." And I know that that's your job. I know that that's what you're trying to do. And for me, this is the book of excellence. This tells me what to do, when to do, and what not to do. And I've been delivered from alcohol and drugs at 20 years old. I couldn't read and write. So just for me to stand up here, in my eyes, is a miracle. So, and then I'm married to that beautiful blonde-haired girl that just got up here earlier. So thank you for your time, and I pray that you vote no on this. I don't know the whole story, but you guys are in our prayers every single night, my wife and I.
Thank you.
God bless.
Arlene Cook, is that correct?
Correct.
Go ahead.
Yes, I'm a private citizen, pastor. As a mother and a grandmother, I stand in opposition to the changes that we're trying to make to this policy. I think that I believe that there would be more confusion more than anything else by making those changes. I think that when you talk about a few words, we need to look at what those few words are, because saying I love you and I hate you is just one word of difference. And so words mean a lot. And I'm sorry to hear about the confusion that there is in children and in adults when they face this issue. I'm a lover of God and a lover of people, and it pains me to see people go through the confusion and the bullying and the trauma that this issue brings. But I still stand on the Word of God and on what it says, that we are created male and female. And for that reason, I think that it would bring more confusion to children and to adults as well to bring these changes into effect. Thank you.
Thank you. Dennis Burgeon. Dennis?
Barger.
Hmm?
Barger. B-A-R-G-E-R.
Oh, Barger, okay.
I have a little speech problem.
No, somebody translates this down.
I'm running off batteries, so deal with
Go ahead, sir.
Thank you. God created us all equal. Whether you're black, blue, green, it don't matter.
He's fine.
God created us all equal. He loves us all. Black, blue, it don't matter. If you're transgender, he loves you too. It doesn't matter. But we have so much bullying and harassment in schools now. I think of this goes through, I hope you do the right thing. I think we will see more violence in our schools. I have 3 granddaughters down here, and I don't want to see them get through the bullying. I have a granddaughter in West Virginia just about killed herself because of bullying. I hope you say no. Thank you.
Thank you. Robert Taylor. Sorry, sir, I should have called you up sooner. That will be our 10th person. However, I am going to extend speaking at this time if we have any students that have signed up to speak who need to be at school in the morning. We'll move them up in the order. I know I have at least one. So if we have any, since I can't identify by the names, if there are any students here that are on the list to speak, please stand in line. Sir, go ahead.
My name's Robert Taylor. I'm a grandfather and great-grandfather of students in school in Brevard County. Concept of bullying. We have experienced it tonight in the form of a threat. Do it my way, or you will see serious and grievous lawsuits. Is that not a threat? Is that not bullying? Now, male, female, fact. Sexual orientation, opinion, belief system, feeling. A person who cannot process facts is considered delusional. Do we want delusional people of opposite sex in our restrooms with our children? Regarding the separation of church and state, the Bible has been read here tonight. That's okay. We can't do it in school. However, Darwinism is as much of religion as Judaism, Catholicism, etc. It is thoroughly infiltrated into our books. Even though I have checked the libraries, Origin of the Species is not there that I have been able to find. But Mr. Darwin's theory is in the books, taught as fact. Is it really fact? Who can prove it? Who witnessed it? So there we go, freedom of religion. I missed one thing earlier on the sexual thing. I believe that having the presence of persons of opposite sex, particularly in the bathrooms, puts our children at risk of serious psychological danger. Thank you.
Please. Thank you. I believe I see one student that would like to speak. Come on forward. And that looks like Sammy Addo, if I have that correct. Would you like, can somebody bring the box forward? So hold on just a second there, Sammy. We can elevate you a little bit so we can see you. Thank you, Pam.
Okay.
All right. Go ahead.
My name is Sammy Addo. I'm in 4th grade and I'm 8 years old. I go to Port Malabar Elementary and I'll be opting out of the FSA next week. I'm sort of an opt-out expert. I opted out of the FSA last year. I also opted out of the Bella in 2nd grade, and I opted out of the fair and all the district common exams too. I don't opt out of all tests though. I take all the tests from my teacher, Mrs. Pett. Just like last year, I took all the tests that Mrs. Kelly gave me. Each time I opt out, I'm able to read one of my books, work on the iPad, or work in the pod or do enrichment work on my iPad. Last year during the FSA, I was able to go to a 2nd grade classroom while my 3rd grade classmates took the test. I am thankful that I did not have to stare at the ceiling for 2 hours. I came tonight to ask if everybody in Brevard County who is opting out could leave the classroom after they break the seal on the test, just like we did last year. I don't want these high-stakes tests to continue disrupting my learning. So please allow me to leave the classroom so I can read or learn on my own instead of staring at the ceiling. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other students that need to get to school early in the morning that are signed up to speak? If not, then the board wishes to... It's signed up to speak. No, I'm sorry, I'm just extending it to students right now that are here to speak. The board wishes to thank this evening's speakers. Your willingness to speak to the board is appreciated. I will mention, though, if you decide you can't stay late for the additional speaking, you could also send your comments to the district websites, to board members, as many of you had, or to the superintendent. And after we vote tonight, if we approve, they may stay. When we approve the hearing, at the hearing there'll be more opportunities. This is not the final night for you all to address us with your concerns.